Good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of our daily news program coming up shortly. The President of the Republic meets heads of political parties represented in the elected assemblies to consolidate the notion of participatory democracy. Food security in Africa tops a continental debate held here in Algiers with the participation of experts tackling the priorities of this sensitive period. The situation keeps deteriorating in Palestine with the closure of crossing borders along with intense bombardments, notably on Rafah. Welcome again. First off, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, held on Tuesday a meeting with political parties represented in the national and local elected assemblies, a further move to consolidate participatory democracy in a new Algeria, heading for a balanced and open governing policy. Melissa Kebash tells us more.
Before the beginning of the proceedings, the head of state hailed the heads of the 27 political parties taking part in this meeting, the first of its kind, through which the president intends to establish the basis of constructive dialogue through the enlargement of consultations and the exchange of ideas between the different political parties regarding national issues and the current regional and international developments. The political event comes to implement another commitment made by the President of the Republic related to establishing dialogue in consultation with the political class. The meeting was held in the presence of Prime Minister Nadir Al-Arbawi and the Principal Private Secretary of the Presidency of the Republic, Boualem, alongside the heads of the political parties. Initiated by the President of the Republic, the meeting lasted for more than 8 hours with an aim of laying the basis of a complementary relationship linking the high authorities and the political class, an opportunity to discuss files, unify visions related to national issues, so as to consolidate national unity and social cohesion in face of the current and multifaceted challenges. For their part, the heads of the political parties appreciated the President of the Republic's move, hailing this historic meeting with the head of state, as well as the constructive dialogue and consultations aimed at strengthening the ties binding the two parties for further consolidating transparency and cohesion, along with the edification process of the new Algeria.
These consultative meetings are in line with the President's commitments to restore the tradition of dialogue and consultations with the political class, making it a fundamental practice in the democratic process and decision-making. More indications with Letizia Salqawi.
Succeed in the thorny edification process of the country in a record time in a difficult geopolitical and economic context is only possible under governance based on participatory diplomacy. The launch of the enlarged consultations with all the political, economic and social partners became a necessity with the objective to unify and to attain a convergence around national and paramount issues. With the election of President Abdelmajid Tebboune at the head of the country, the doors to Al Mouradia Palace are now open for a political process gathering the vital forces of the nation in order to overcome the status quo and to abandon the old practices.
بالنسبة للتوجيهات السياسية، أنا التوجيهات السياسية انطلاقي من نوفمبر وإعلان نوفمبر.
National reforms at all levels in order to build a new Algeria. It is pivotal to consolidate the domestic front via an inclusive dialogue, to lay the foundations of a new political step based on national consensus on the main issues of the state and the nation.
وين ما كان أمور اللي تجمع أحسن من الأمور اللي تشردة من الناس.
The major institutional edification operation commenced 4 years ago and can only be achieved through the implication of the political class in decision-making, a commitment made and maintained by the President of the Republic.
المفروض أنا ماذا بيا الأحزاب نمشي معاهم في كل شيء اللي يساعد البلاد، نمشي معاهم، واستقبلت منهم كثير ونزيد نستقبل، نشاور في النقطة هذه والنقطة هذه.
Several meetings took place, many of which upon the request of representatives of political parties. In several political statements, the President of the Republic has never failed to recall the law related to political parties as an important tool to guarantee a balanced and transparent representation.
راجع قانون الأحزاب باش نعاود نراجع كيف الأحزاب اليوم جند قد ما تجند الشعب قد ما راك تفيد في الدولة حتى ولو مشروعك الاجتماعي أنت دير برنامجك.
A dialogue with no borders or mediators. All suggestions are listened to and taken into consideration with the one and only thread, the preservation of national sovereignty and citizens at the heart of the decisions and priorities.
المنهج نتاعنا احنا المنهج الوطني الخط الوطني هذا ما كان أنا كل ما هو خط وطني راني معاهم.
A new era in Algeria looking forward to the future, an objective that can only be achieved through an honest and constructive dialogue towards consolidating a national cohesion.
To cooperation now, the Minister of Energy and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, met on Tuesday in Brazzaville the Congolese Minister of Mines and Hydrocarbons, Bruno John Richard Itwa, and the Congolese Minister of Energy and Hydraulics, Emile Uwoso. The opportunities to develop cooperation relations and Algerian expertise exchange in development fields and refinement were tackled in the presence of CEOs of Sonatrach and Sonargaz and high executives of the country, as well as they discussed the production of liquefied gas and its transportation. On this occasion, a memorandum of understanding was signed between Algeria and Congo-Brazzaville in the sector of hydrocarbons. The document covers investment opportunities of Sonatrach in gas and oil exploring in the Republic of Congo. Sonatrach and its subsidiaries can intervene in the country, providing services, equipment, and exchange expertise. And on the sidelines of the Sibsa Filaha, a Pan-African conference on the food debate brought together African experts finding solutions to the challenges of climate change and food security in the continent, which topped this timely event. Mariam Damis and Ines Kulu.
Food security is now at the heart of the African countries' concerns. This issue is of particular importance, even vital. Hence, the growing interest shown by African leaders. The holding of the International Exhibition of Agriculture, Livestock Farming and Agro-Industry, which comes in due time to give this meeting on food security a Pan-African dimension.
Nous sommes confrontés à beaucoup de problèmes sur le plan alimentaire et nutritionnel également.
We are facing many problems, including food insecurity and malnutrition, for the sole reason of climate change and social insecurity, which impacted negatively the natural resources.
Et productive. Et aussi par rapport à cette insécurité sociale.
Aujourd'hui, nous sommes en Algérie.
Today we're here in Algeria as part of an international exhibition on food security in general, with the aim of looking for measures that can be taken to combine our efforts and eradicate the problems and challenges we are facing.
À l'effet de conjuguer nos efforts pour éradiquer l'ensemble de ces problèmes et de ces défis.
This collective ambition, initiated by the Filaha Innovate think tank, is being pursued at the Sibsa Trade Fair, where a wide range of research institutions, agronomy researchers and young innovators from the four corners of Africa are taking part.
On veut développer les échanges, pas nord-sud, mais sud-sud.
We want to develop trade, we produce, and we want to develop the agri-food sector and support some countries that have raw materials but cannot exploit them.
Pays qui ont des matières premières et qui ne peuvent pas les exploiter.
Depuis 2003, nos chefs d'État
Since 2003, our leaders have been looking at the situation of food insecurity and the situation of agriculture. We have boosted agriculture so that all of our citizens have access to at least 3 meals a day.
aient accès at least à au moins un repas, 3 repas par jour.
The heavy presence of experts in Algiers shows the importance of this strategic issue by sharing their concerns and experiences in order to overcome the obstacles hindering a safer food future for a continent with an ocean of natural resources.
In other news, delegations flocked to the Sahrawi refugee camps to take part in the foreign diplomacy for solidarity with the Sahrawi people. Senior representatives and diplomats traveled to examine the current international situation and address developments in the Western Saharan issue. Fatima Zahra Ben Farjallah and Ines Kilo.
Several delegations from around the world took part in the diplomatic forum in solidarity with the Sahrawi people in Tindouf. The Sahrawi delegation was led by the Sahrawi ambassador to Algeria, Abdelkader Talib Omar, as well as ambassadors accredited to the Sahrawi Republic and the president of the Algerian Committee in solidarity with the Sahrawi people.
Through this forum, the diplomats stressed the importance of supporting this just cause, that of the independence of the Sahrawi people.
Cuba supports the Sahrawi cause, which we consider a priority, and our solidarity with this cause is very important.
Nicaragua has been supporting the Sahrawi cause and the Polisario Front for years, the legitimate front of the Sahrawi people.
The 60th edition of the Diplomatic Forum of Solidarity with the Sahrawi people denotes once again the importance of the unfailing support voiced on a daily basis by bodies, organizations and associations from all over the world to remind us once again of the legitimacy of the Sahrawi people's struggle to snatch their freedom.
The presence of several delegations displays the interest shown by the international community in the Sahrawi cause, and an unwavering support that we noted through the presence of diplomatic representatives of several countries.
This outpouring move of solidarity with the Sahrawi people and their first struggle to self-determination is a telling evidence of Algeria's unwavering support for the Sahrawi cause.
Faithful to its immutable principles, Algeria has always played a leading role on the international scene through its solidarity with the liberation movements, steadfast support for oppressed and colonized peoples.
In Gaza, 8 crossing points remain closed by the Zionist entity, who intensify the attacks on the Gaza Strip. As for Rafah, it is still under the threat of a major ground incursion in the upcoming days. Leticia Sidqawi with the latest.
It has now been almost 8 months into the genocide taking place in Gaza. At least 85 Palestinians, mainly women and children, fell martyrs, while many others were left wounded this Tuesday, following the latest bombings by the Zionist entity. In the center of Gaza, airstrikes targeted Al Buraij camps. In the south, warships of the Zionist entity fired shots in Khan Yunis, where doctors of the European hospital recorded many wounded, following an airstrike on a house. Ambulances recovered the injured following shots by a warplane on a group of Palestinians near the headquarters of the Handicap Association, claiming many lives and inducing destruction of a large number of houses. Zionist air forces attacked around 70 targets these last 24 hours in Gaza Strip. The latest toll of the aggression exceeded a staggering number, 35,000 martyrs and 79,000 wounded since the 7th of October, according to the Palestinian health authorities. The World Health Organization underlined that Al Auda Hospital in Al Jabaliyah is no longer fit for purpose, and this since 2 days following sniper shots. 170 patients and members of the personnel are stuck there. The humanitarian situation in the Palestinian enclave is not any better, with famine looming over the territory, and humanitarian aid that was arriving in drips and drabs is now almost fully blocked since the Zionist entity took control of the border post of Rafah, making the situation even more critical. Since October 2023, 75% of the population, around 1.7 million people, were forcefully displaced inside Gaza, most of which 4 or 5 times, notably as a result of the repetitive evacuation calls by the Zionist occupation forces.
And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for tuning in.